Okay, so what I want you guys to do is you're going to take a look. You're going to take a look at what the original image was, and then you're going to take a look at what these scaled copies are, and you're going to identify which ones are actually scaled copies. Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Any of them that are not considered scaled copies, I want you to tell me why. Why do you think it's not a scaled copy? Like, what would be wrong with it? Is it stretched too tall? Is it stretched too wide? What is different about it that doesn't make it scaled to what the original copy is? So go ahead and take a moment. Under each one, identify yes, it's a scale, or no, it's not, and then why is it not? All right, so let's go ahead and go over our thoughts. So let's start with Portrait A. Is Portrait A true scaled copy?
No.
No. What is wrong with Portrait A? Guadalupe?
It's stretched too tall.
It's stretched too tall. So if we're looking at it, it's stretched way too tall in comparison to its width. Okay, so it's been stretched out way too much. So that's going to make it not a good replica. Okay, what about B? Is B going to be a good replica? Let's go with Adone. Is B going to be a good replica? No, why not? Too stretched, right? But stretched can mean tall, or it can mean wide. It's stretched too wide. Okay, so when we're looking at the width of it, it's stretched out way too much on the width. So no, it's not going to be a scaled replica. What about C? Is C a good scaled replica? Yeah, C is a good scaled replica. We do like it. It is proportional to what the original was. What about D? Caitlin, what did your group say about D? Was it scaled copy or not? Scaled, or Portrait D, is that a good replica of the original, or is that a stretched replica? It's the same, right? It's bigger, that's fine, but it seems like it was stretched by using that corner so that it kept it proportional, that the height and the width were proportional to each other. So yes, that is a good scaled replica. And then guys, what about E? Is E a scaled replica? No. Why is it not? What's wrong with it?
It's way too like stretched.
It looks like
it's
a
stretched
shape.
at an
I don't
angle.
know the name of it.
It's angled, right? It's slanted. Okay, instead of it being tall upright, it's slanted. So that's not going to be a good replica either. Okay, so what I want you guys to do now on your own independently is you're going to take a look at the lettering here. So we have the letter F. I want you guys to try and identify which one of these copies, drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, would be scaled appropriately to the original. We're going to identify which copies do you think are actually scaled copies. So just taking a look at what the original F looked like, which one of these do you think are going to be scaled copies for it? Go ahead and take a moment to figure. Actually, you guys can do that with your group. Why don't you as a group try to figure out which ones are scaled copies?
I'm just gonna follow the grading and see, because like some of them like the top is sometimes more and stuff. I think she's
All right, let's see if you guys could correctly identify which ones were the scales. Raise your hand if your group thinks that drawing 1 is a scaled copy. Raise your hand high if your group thinks scale or drawing 1. That would be correct. Drawing 1 is a correct scaled copy. What about drawing 2? How many groups think drawing 2 was a scaled copy? Okay, good. A couple of you thought it was. That is correct. Those 2 are scaled copies of the original. What about drawing 3? Is drawing 3 a scaled copy? No, right? Too stretched out. It's way too stretched out. It's not going to be a scaled copy. What about drawing 4? Is that a scaled copy? No, right? It's slanted. If it's slanted, it can't be considered a scaled copy. What about drawing 5? How many think drawing 5 is a scaled copy? Okay, we've got quite a few. We're going to come back on that one because, you know, obviously drawing 6, not a scaled copy, right? If we look at the bottom and top lines, those are definitely not scaled copies. But drawing 7 could potentially be a scaled copy. So we want to try to figure out which one it is. The actual one is going to be drawing 7. Drawing 5 is not a scaled copy, and I'm going to come back to that in a little bit as to why it's not an actual scaled copy of the original. So as we had just said, drawing 1, drawing 2, and drawing 7 are going to be considered scale replicas. Let's go ahead and turn this on over to the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to showcase what makes them scaled. Because sometimes it's really hard, just like I showed you before. It's kind of hard to decipher between that 7 and that 5. So I'm going to show you what makes 7 the scale and not the 5 in just you know, we'll do this on the 5 as well so that you can see why it doesn't work. So what we're going to be doing first is notice that they are on a grid. So what I'm going to have you guys do is with the original, this vertical line, tell me how many boxes does this vertical line span? So when the vertical line, it covers 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. Everybody see that? So inside of my table where it says vertical for the original, I'm going to go ahead and put a 4. Those of you who have your computers opened up, go ahead and close them for right now. They're not necessary. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing for the top horizontal line. How long is the top horizontal line going to span? 2. Good, right? It spans 2 boxes. 1, 2. Okay, and then the short horizontal line spans how many boxes? Just 1. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same things for drawing 1, drawing 2, and drawing 7. We're going to identify how far the vertical box spans. What about the horizontal's top box? And what about the horizontal's shorter middle box? So go ahead and fill that table out with the information right now on your own. Okay, so let's take a look at the information that we have here. For the drawing 1, let's go ahead and identify the vertical. How tall is that vertical line, or how many boxes does that vertical line span, Natalia? 6. Okay, it's going to span 6 boxes, right? We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. Okay, now let's talk about its top horizontal. The top horizontal is how long, Isaiah? 3. Okay, and then the shorter horizontal, Marshall already filled that in before. He said it was 1.5. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there for us. Okay. All right, let's talk about drawing number 2. What was the height for drawing number 2 going to be? Guadalupe? 8. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, the top horizontal, Aisha? 4, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. And then for the shorter horizontal one, what was that going to be? Ashley? It was 2 boxes, right? 1, 2. Okay, and then for our last one, let's talk about the height of that last one. What was that one going to be? I'm trying to call on people I haven't talked to yet. Asher, why don't you tell me how tall is this last one? How many boxes does that last one span? 12. Okay, the top horizontal line, that top horizontal line spans how many boxes there, Kyla? 6. And then that shorter horizontal line is going to span how many boxes here, Adone? 3. Okay, so what we're seeing here is we're seeing a pattern that's happening from the original to get to the new. If we take a look, if we take this original and we were to multiply the original scale factor by 1.5, if you do 4 times 1.5, it's going to give you 6. If you do 2 times 1.5, it's going to give you 3. If If you do 1 times 1.5, it gives you 1.5. Okay, so what a scale does is it takes your original and it multiplies it by a value for all sides, all measurements get multiplied by that same value to get to the newest one. So what did we multiply to get from the original to drawing number 2? What scale factor takes us from 4 to an 8, from a 2 to a 4, and from a 1 to a 2? What scale factor was that? Brian? Times 2. Okay, so for here, for scale drawing number 2, our scale factor was times 2. For drawing number 1, our scale factor was times 1.5. What was our scale factor that takes us from the original to drawing 7? What did we multiply each of these components by to get 12, 6, and 3? Isaiah? No, not 1.5. By 3. Okay, if we do 4 times 3, remember we're always talking about the original, going back to the original, we do 4 times 3, it gives us 12. If we do 2 times 3, it gives us 6. If we do 1 times 3, it gives us 3. Okay, so this is what we call a scale factor. So a scale factor is what you multiply your original by to get to your newest one. Now notice when we multiplied by a number greater than 1, our newer drawing was always bigger than the original. What do you think would happen if I multiply by a scale factor smaller than 1? What do you think would happen to the new picture? Would it get bigger or smaller? Smaller, right? If we do something smaller than 1, it's going to make your newer drawing smaller. Okay, so let's take a look. What we're going to do is we are going to create a new scale based off of our original, right? Our original was 4, 2, and 1. We're going to go ahead and pick out a new scale value to multiply by to create a new picture here. So what do you guys want to multiply by? We already did 1.5, we've already done 2, we've already done 3. What do you want to do? 5. I don't think 5 will fit in here. I think 5 might be too big. It might. Let's try. So if we multiply everything by 5, what's that going to create my vertical to now be? What's 4 times 5? 20. Okay, what about my top horizontal? 2 times 5 would be 10. And my shorter horizontal, 1 times 5 is 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to draw the F, the letter F, using these dimensions. I have to go up. Huh? Okay, so we'll just draw a couple extras. We'll pretend like we've got another box. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We'll go down a little bit more. That's going to be 19. And then down a little bit more. That'll be our 20. Okay, so there's where we're going to go. Okay. Now we're going to go across for our top line. We're going to go across 10. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then for our middle line, we need to go down 5. Now notice how far apart it is. We have 1, 2, 3, or sorry, look at my original. We have 1, 2, and then 1, 2. So it needs to be smack dab in the center, right? What's smack dab in the center between 20? What's half of 20? 10. So I need to count 10 boxes down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to start my line right here, and I'm going to count over 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is my scaled replica of the original. Now again, I could make it even smaller, so I'm going to actually do another one. Go ahead and do another box down below this one, and we're going to make it smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and do a different scale that is timesing it by a half. We're going to multiply it by 0.5. So what's half of 4? 2. What's half of 2? 1. What's half of 1? 0.5, 0.5. So we're going to draw another one that's using these half dimensions. So we're going to have a value that goes up only 2. 1, 2. It goes the top line across 1. And then my smaller middle line goes only halfway. That is also a scaled replica of the original. So everybody understand how we do scales. How we make scale replicas is by using what we call a scale factor. If the number is greater than 1, it's going to scale it to a larger picture. If your scale factor is smaller than 1, it's going to make it to a smaller picture. Okay, so what I want you guys to do right now is taking a look here at the scaling of L. This is our original. You're going to identify which, if any, are any of these considered to be the scale copies of figure A. So discuss that with your team, with your table. Use math. Identify what these lengths and these widths and the heights are and see if it is scaled correctly. Okay, do what we just did up here where we identified whether all of the dimensions were replicated by the same scale factor. So take a couple minutes and discuss with your team. Okay, so which one is considered to be the only one that is an actual scale? I haven't heard from that back table very much yet. Diana, which one up here? So if figure A is the original, which one of these 3 figures is considered to be the scale? C. That's correct. So C is the only one that's considered to be the scale. Let's take a look at why. So for figure A, the height of the L has a height of 5. The height of figure C has a height of 10. So it's doubled in its measurement. If we take a look here at its little width up at the top, that's a width of 1, whereas this width is of 2. Okay? If we're looking here at this little box here has a height of 1. Here it has a height of 2. So you're having these being replicated dimensions here. And I could check all of them. I could check all of the others and it would still come out the same. It's a good measurement that everything is the same. So C is the only one that's a scaled replica. Okay? Any questions? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put an assignment into Google Classroom for you guys.